All right. It is 9:30 PST. We're going to get things started here for e-commerce week Monday. We got a pretty awesome panel and a pretty cool announcement today as well. So my name is Drew Leahy. I'm the managing partner of Hawke Ventures, an early stage venture capital firm based in West LA. I'm an entrepreneur of 14 years. I've been investing the last 4 years. It's been an incredible journey to Hawke Ventures, where we're happy to have 16 portfolio companies, over 35 investors we work with, and multiple funding vehicles. To kick off Money Monday, I have a big announcement for Hawke Media and Hawke Ventures. We partnered with Wayflyer to launch Hawke Capital. That's Hawke.capital, which is a revenue-based financing solution for e-commerce brands. It's really simple. There's one simple fee. You get an offer generated in days, and you get to keep all of your ownership. So head over to Hawke.capital, Hawke.capital today to see what financing offers are available to you. So now I want to introduce our amazing panelists today. We've got Jeff Kleinfelter from Excelsior. We got Jesse Draper from Halogen. We got Lauren Barnett from First Republic and Alex Rubalcava from StageVC Partners, as well as Liz Heller, who is someone I got to work with for over a year, investing with Membrain. And so we're going to get started today. Let's see, we got our panelists on video. I'm going to see some beautiful faces. Yeah, that's right. What's up, Alex, Jeff, Lauren?
Drew.
Hey, Drew.
Hey, we got Jesse.
Hi.
Good morning, everyone.
Okay, there we go. Awesome. We got Liz. Liz coming on.
I'm here. Sorry.
There she is. No apologies necessary.
You want us to use our backgrounds? Because my hair is like so weird.
I know. That was my issue too. I was sort of like,
So everyone, today we got about 30 minutes. We're going to discuss our panel, which is we got to talk about a bunch of cool stuff, future of investing, COVID investing. We got some ideas on global retailing and distribution, as well as how VCs and angels help with portfolio companies. And then we're going to wrap with what types of portfolio companies you'd like to see in the future. So we got 30 minutes to discuss those pieces. And then we're going to wrap with 30 minutes for the HawkeCage. We got 3 companies that are going to pitch us today. They get a 5-minute pitch and a 5-minute Q&A. So yeah, we only got about 27 minutes to get into some deep ideas on the future of investing. I would love to get started off with our panel today. COVID investing, what has that been like? For us as a firm, we've done 4 deals during COVID, which has been crazy. We wired money to people that we never met before. That was just a wild concept for me, right? Would one of you like to talk a little bit about some investing that you've done during COVID and maybe how that went and how you felt about it? Would love to hear somebody if you want to raise your hand and just dive in.
Sure, I can jump in, Drew, if you want me to.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. We also made a couple investments during this COVID period. Fortunately, we had been doing diligence long enough on the companies that we were able to. We already met them in person, so we didn't have to go in cold. Although we do anticipate that happening going forward in the next few investments. We invested in 2 companies. One's an esports company, and then one was a personal care company. And both of those had great businesses. They were established, and both were also seeing a lift as a result of the COVID dynamics in terms of how people were spending their time and how people were spending their money, frankly. So we feel great about it. We're certainly playing into an accelerated trend in esports with as far as COVID goes, with all the stay-at-home time. And with the other personal care brand, it's actually playing into, fortunately, it's not being hurt by the stay-at-home strategy, and because of the wellness aspect to it, it's really playing right now to people's focus. So made 2 investments. We expect to make several more over the next few months.
Fantastic. And Jeff, tell us a little bit about your firm real quick, and then we'll go on.
Yeah, Excelsior Ventures is a consumer-centric focused venture fund. We focus on late seed and Series A stage companies. We have 12 companies in our portfolio currently. We're looking to probably invest in another 6 to 8 over the next 6 to 12 months. This fund, we had our first close last November, 20 million. We're going to close another probably 10 to 15 million here in the next 2 months. And then we'll have some dry powder to continue investing.
Thanks, Jeff. Hey, Jesse, I know you've done a couple deals during COVID. I actually just talked to one of your wonderful entrepreneurs last week. Do you want to give a quick intro of yourself and it's kind of how COVID investing has been for you?
Yeah, COVID investing is wild and crazy. So I'm Jessie Draper. I run Halogen Ventures. We invest in early stage female founded consumer technologies. So there has to be a female in the founding team of 5. We have about 62 portfolio companies. I always like to highlight that we do have 3 male CEOs. I love men. I just want to make sure that there's women in the executive team. The questions we get around that are very funny. They're like, what if a man works there? And I'm like, well, hopefully eventually a lot of men will work there. In terms of investing, I'd have to take you kind of back to the beginning of COVID. We paused all new investments for a minute and then made sure that our portfolio was okay. Our portfolio was doing pretty well. I resonated with some of the things that Jeff was saying, just in terms of personal care. And we have a company called Flex that is a menstrual disc that, CVS increased the amount of stores, Amazon sales are up, a lot of personal health and wellness is up. We have a company called Trust and Will that's estate planning online, and business for them has been sadly but awesomely really great because more people signed up for wills last month than ever before. It's sort of fascinating to watch what is taking off right now. Yep. But I have to say I was really, really proud of just how our portfolio was dealing with COVID and transferring entire business models online, et cetera. Yep. Once we made sure our portfolio was okay, we kind of doubled down on a couple of our companies there. And now we're looking at investments in a new light. And I feel like it was, while COVID's been incredibly difficult for everyone, we did have a little bit of a gift of time and planning in terms of what industries we wanted to go into. So we're looking much more seriously at ed tech. So I don't know who you saw recently, but we made an investment in an ed tech company called Toucan that's doing incredibly well. We're looking at that. We're really looking at future of work, which we were already very serious about, but there's a big, big asterisk next to child care. This was one of our focuses, but we're looking for companies where we look for consumer facing companies, but we often have companies that also are able to sell to a municipality or the government. Yep. There's a lot of issues within the government, a lot of inefficiencies that can be solved, I've realized, through funneling consumer dollars to make change and big business. And so we look for this kind of intersection of consumer and solving government inefficiencies. So examples of that would be like Hop, Skip, Drive, which started as an Uber type service for families in childcare and now provides transportation for the foster care systems across the country. We have a company called Binti that put adoption online. And so these are companies that are making significant change, making money, and solving problems. So those are a couple of things that we're very focused on.
Oh, great. Thank you, Jesse. Hey, Alex, how are things going over there? Do you want to give a quick intro and tell us about some of your COVID investing experiences?
Absolutely. So my firm, Stage Venture Partners, is a seed firm investing in enterprise software applications. We invest in a lot of different industries, from healthcare to manufacturing and industrial products, software products for that industry. And we also, of course, do a lot in e-commerce software tools, everything from data management to same-day shipping to brand protection and safety. I made my first COVID investment in the 3rd week of March this year, just as the lockdowns were setting in. So, we've been active. I've made 2 investments so far this year, 2 in process that I'm leading and closing hopefully in the next 30 days. Doing everything over video and online is not all that new to Stage, because we've made several investments over the last few years where I did not meet the founders in person prior to writing the check. I did my first deal on Zoom, I think, in early 2017. So we're used to it.
No stranger to you. That's nice. That's some comfort there.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, thanks so much. And then Liz Heller, have you, how's Membrain been doing with the COVID investing cycle? Have you guys been, focusing on portfolio companies, making investments? Would love to have a little intro from you, Liz, and tell us your experience.
Sure. I'm Liz Heller, managing partner of Membrain. We are actually, we basically exist to help companies kind of grow and scale, and we do it in a lot of different ways. So we have personal investments, which we've made, we're not a fund in that way. We've made over 120, I think, at the moment. So there was a lot of time and energy definitely spent on managing, I think, anxiety as well when COVID started, and sort of a lot about what Jesse was talking about, making it through to the next place and seeing how these companies would survive. We incubate our own companies, so we've actively been doing that as well. And we are early stage investors in the sense that we also sometimes just actually consult and advise. And so we've made a couple of investments. What I was going to mention was just that I am also an advisor and investor to a couple of interesting funds, and I've been working closely with them. One is Obvious Ventures, which invests in world positive and reimagining sort of trillions of dollars to solve food, energy, healthcare, future of work, global problems. And that basically by looking at those categories, they know that at the end of the day, the dollars they've invested will have some impact on the environment or social benefit. And they really have seen a lot of deal flow, kind of crazy deal flow, really thinking through, and this is kind of where I was looking at the lens of this too, which is there are companies who have made, need to make and will make and are making very big fundamental structural changes because things aren't necessarily going to go back to the way they were. Some will, but many are going to make permanent change, and some won't make it as a result of that. And so there's this kind of, I think, like a crazy race to see which of those really matter. And so for me, I looked at that also, and my partner, from a sort of personal lens of like all the things that we were just talking about in sort of healthcare and education, but also in consumer products like equipment, food, other things that have really, and the way people shop. I've created this community with another partner where we call it Rarely Heard Voices, and we've had the benefit of over 100 retail leaders and CEOs who come on board and speak every week about the status of retail around the world. And that has been super helpful. We'll come back to that later. Also, Kairos Society, who really have been tackling sort of how the economics and healthcare needs of consumers in this time, it really fits what their investment strategy has been. So we've talked a lot to them about focusing on how they can give back with their companies, from their first department to senior citizen care. And those are just examples of the things that we've been focusing on to help.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Liz. And Lauren, you're over at First Republic Bank. I mean, what has happened during this time? You're seeing things kind of from a zoomed out lens, the community, right? You're seeing banking changing. People aren't coming into the branch. We're doing investments, we're making wires, setting up new bank accounts. What has your experience been like during COVID on the banking side of entrepreneurship and investing?
It's been a really wild ride these last few months, or 6 months, I guess it's been now. And we're in a really interesting place. So my role, I'm the director of venture and tech banking at First Republic Bank for the West Coast. And we bank both the VC firms and tech and startup companies. So the start of the year, I think everyone, mostly startup companies, were obsessed with getting a PPP loan so they could help themselves, be sustained, their company wouldn't fail. And our bank just jumped in to support them as much as we could. We became an SBA lender. We gave out over 13,000 PPP loans, and we're there just sort of holding their hand and making sure they could get through this pandemic period where business slowed down. So that was our first, I'd say that was from maybe April to May. We saw a bit of a slowdown around June and July in investing. So a slow kind of end of Q2, Q3, but it started picking back up again. And a lot of our founders have been raising capital, raising their next round of capital, and our investors are investing again. I think we're all getting used to this environment. It's becoming the new normal. We're getting a little more comfortable getting to know people over Zoom and over the camera, and we're all in the same situation together. So some camaraderie is forming around it, but it's been a wild ride. It's been a roller coaster for sure.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that. It's great to understand too. We all have a lot of anecdotes that we talk about ourselves, but understanding kind of what's happening globally, that's great to understand. So appreciate you all for introducing yourself and starting off with COVID investing. Jesse Chuck, Jesse talked about this a little bit, talking about the future of investing, and Liz touched on this too. What are some of the notes that you think about in terms of the future of investing? How is venture capital going to be changing based on this macro environment? We talked a little bit about how some business is going to go back to usual, other business is going to be changed forever, right? Jesse, I know you wrote an awesome article about investing in women and how it's not a charity, right? I mean, by the way, we have 2 investments together, the SIL and Stereo. It's been a pleasure working with you on those companies. Huge fan of investing female CEOs and female leadership. Talk a little bit about the future of VC from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think I look at it in 2 ways, and I just shared this article in the chat. I just wread an article on, and I'm sorry I swore in the article, but it was like,
oh, it's good. No, we like the passion. The passion is good.
So yeah, I think there's the way I want it to change, which is we need all of you incredible humans out there to invest in women, equally, which will take quite some time, but also we can think about it in terms of teams and making sure that you have diversity in gender. And we look at diversity as age, race, and gender at the top. And we want to make sure that all of our companies can represent that. That creates a real formula for success. So I hope that that's the direction we're going in, and I'm trying to push us in that way. It's a better business case, which is what my article is about. So it's a better business case to invest in women as well. But in terms of how it is changing, since this is the e-commerce event of the season, I would say e-commerce is everything. This is like e-commerce's moment. I think it was slowing down for a minute, and we always knew that there was going to be this like movement from traditional retail to e-commerce, and COVID just sped it up. So we're looking very seriously in consumer at just thinking about how people shop, how people are going to continue to shop, where do people still continue to gather, what products can be sold in those areas, what types of companies can facilitate the consumer experience. And so we're really thinking about that, because I think there's going to be just an enormous explosion of even better e-commerce related tools and access to customers. So we're thinking about it that way too for the next 10 years, as you have to think about venture in 10-year billion-dollar increments of time.
That's exactly right. And I mean, what's interesting about our fund is we created our fund to support e-commerce companies and the tools that support e-commerce companies. And that has just exploded right out from under us, right? We're about an 18 months old fund, but the thesis has been really strong. We've been able to watch that data. The SIL is a perfect example that we're in, right? I mean, people love plants and want them delivered to their house in droves during COVID. Yeah. I mean, it's been an incredible company to watch. And again, understanding what does that retail look like. Jeff Kleinfelter, you have an incredible past with Piper Jaffray's, have done a lot of work inside of retail. Tell us what you're seeing on the retail and distribution side in the future of venture capital. What are some of the tea leaves that you're seeing as somebody who's really been in this for a long time?
Yeah, thank you, Drew. And I agree with a lot of the comments that have been made here this morning. What this pandemic has done is clearly accelerate, 5+ years worth of e-commerce penetration into one, or even more exaggerated. So this is demonstrated through, I guess, in part necessity, that whether you're an e-com pure play or whether you're an omnichannel business that has both retail, wholesale, and e-commerce, e-com is the driving force of these business trends. And companies need to be prepared for that from an operational standpoint and also a tech standpoint. So what we're hearing from a lot of companies right now, even on the larger side, is how do we operationally prepare ourselves for this new normal? And we think it's going to be a tremendous opportunity for new, young, up-and-coming kind of seed Series A stage companies to go attack those commerce opportunities with a new economy business model. So a lot of businesses are not going to be able to adjust. They're too big, they have too much infrastructure, it's too complicated. So it's just the perfect time for these brands to launch. And if they start off as e-com, they can eventually become omnichannel if they want to go that direction with some of the wholesale distribution. But the key is really, assessing obviously all the economics around your model, but it's assessing, your specific customer base. How do they want to shop with you? Where do they want to shop with you? What's your brand proposition? So it's it's gonna continue to disrupt, I think, for many years now, the traditional businesses with these new launches. And it's just a great time to be in consumer venture as far as we're concerned.
Well, thank you so much. That's great insights for the panel, or for the audience here. Hey, Liz, on your side of the table, you've been working with these amazing CEOs and folks that are chiming in every week. What are some of the tidbits that you've learned about some of the global retailing and distribution? How is this shifting? How does that kind of play into the future of venture from some of the anecdotes that you've learned from folks looking at their data and the changes they're making?
I mean, it's definitely been in many cases, it was a question of, wow, we really are late to this party. Like, they just kind of realized that they had to make bigger jumps. And we've all been talking about it forever, but to see that actually happen, and then to see, even the other day, there was an announcement of Nike up 82%, thinking about it as a permanent change in their retail. The technology to help people with sizing and returns and all of those things have become something they're very excited about. One of the things is this recognition of the need to be fluid. So fluidity is a big issue that they're talking about. And what are the new parameters to enter retail at all, considering where they're shifting from? I think the attraction triggers have changed. This is a recognized thing, this sort of issue of consumers are looking for values, not just value. And community, to embrace your community, to spotlight and celebrate your community, as friend Tina Sharkey talks about, instead of just sort of thinking about them as something that's sort of over here. In fact, that is your audience, and that customers want to be seen as a person. They don't want to be recognized as data and statistics. They actually want you to know them. And so you see a lot of personalization and customization coming. Those are just some of them.
Yeah, I mean, I could not agree more that personalization is really where this is all going, right? I mean, we have so much data at our fingertips, and unfortunately, companies are terrible at using it. Like, I talk to CEOs on a regular basis. They don't understand the archetypes. They don't understand the purchasing behavior, but it seems to be going pretty well, right? So like, they've been riding that for a long time. Their instincts are good, but their data and where it's coming from hasn't been very good. So I definitely resonate with that. Alex, I know you have a couple pretty amazing digital e-commerce tools that you've invested in. How things have been going on that side of things for your portfolio? Tell us a little bit about kind of what you've been seeing on the global retail and distribution side, and how these tools are being affected by COVID.
Absolutely. Like most other companies in e-commerce, the tooling companies are all feeling a tailwind from greater adoption. But what's interesting is that we're starting to see bifurcations in the customer base. And there is a real difference in the responsiveness of older companies versus newer companies in this new world that we're in. One of my founders put it really well in a conversation with me about a month ago. He said, the price of technical debt has never been higher. And I really agree with that. We are seeing companies, consumer-facing companies that have decades-old ERP systems, decades-old fulfillment systems, decades-old customer relationship management systems, none of which talk to each other. And they are acting as if they have boots made out of stone. They cannot respond to this world, and newer companies are in a better shape to do it. Another thing that we're seeing out there a lot right now is what another one of my founders refers to as the dude, where's my buyer problem. And what he means by that is, if 2 years ago we sold software for $100,000 a year to some VP at a company, many of these companies have gone through bankruptcy and shrinkage this year, and that VP no longer works for that company. And when renewals are coming up, we have to find and essentially resell to a new sponsor within the company in order not to have that account churn. The other things we see a lot out there is that fixed costs used to be a source of advantage. If you had a large store base, if you had a large distribution channel, if you had all of those things, that was a source of advantage. And now that becomes a source of making it very hard for you to move quickly. And a lot of companies are reducing their fixed cost basis as quickly as humanly possible. You know, they might have had 1,000 stores before, and now they're deciding, you know what, we don't need 400 of those stores, and we're going to serve those customers in e-commerce. And they might have gotten there in 6 or 7 years in the normal course of business. They're getting there in 2020 as a result of this.
Wow, those are some really great pieces of information for the entrepreneurs out there watching this. I hope you're picking up on some of the little anecdotes and the little tidbits that are being left here by some of these amazing investors. We got 5 minutes left. I'm going to open it up to my friends here on the panel. Is there anything else you want to say or get out? This is your moment to shine. I want this to be about you guys. It's not about us. What else would you like to talk about while we have the floor? Does anybody want to raise their hand?
I'll say something really quick. Amazon is going to spend somewhere around $60 to $70 billion this year in CapEx and R&D. And, you know, some of that's for AWS and all the other stuff that they're doing, but a lot of that is on the retail and the eCom business. $60 to $70 billion to improve their service levels. And 2 years ago in the annual report, Bezos said that customers are divinely discontent. Whatever service you deliver to them, they expect it from then on. You know, we all expect one-day service now. We all expect same-day deliveries. If you're an e-com company and you are not matching the service level that Amazon provides, you are falling behind.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I was just going to comment that. Oh,
Liz?
go ahead. Yeah. No, Drew, you go.
I was just going to say quickly, you know, the entrepreneurs themselves, the founders have always been key to making these investments. I mean, that is the #1 consideration, I think, for all of us. It's becoming even more important now. So, you know, to the extent these entrepreneurs can showcase or demonstrate not only their past experiences, successes, starting companies or having exits, but how they're navigating through this current period of time is really important. So just something to consider and something to try to highlight, maybe even more so than they had in the past.
Great. Liz, did you want to add something?
I was just going to say, you had asked earlier about some of the ideas of what we like to see in the future. And I was just thinking about influence for one, and companies like Plus Capital, who are our entities, funds that are putting together ways that influencers can really make impact to greater than people can maybe in their lifetime to change and make the world a better place. The idea of incubation, I really love the site entities and investment entities, the strategies where, and I think everybody on this Zoom call is thinking about how to incubate and help their companies. If anything, the pandemic really showed us that.
Right. Fantastic. Anybody else want to volunteer?
I was just going to add, I mean, I agree with Alex and what some other panelists are saying. Necessity is the mother of invention. This is the time to adapt. This is the time to figure out what's working, what's not working, what do your customers need, and just be flexible. Try something new, and we're finding a lot of our companies are pivoting and it's working for them.
I mean, some of the greatest companies' logos that we see in, you know, in both the public markets and coming into IPO, they were started during the last recession. I mean, that's an indicator right there, right? I mean, when we find opportunities and we seize on them during trying times, you know, people listen, right? And I think that it's really up to the entrepreneurs to tell that story, right? Well, great. This has been super fun. We got 2 minutes until we start the HawkeCage, our first couple pitches from entrepreneurs. So I want to just give a quick background here, unless there was anything else that anybody wanted to add. I don't want to cut anybody off. All right. Awesome.
I'm going to put something in the chat about something that might be helpful for people in LA that are starting businesses in terms of investors as well. And
great. And you can pitch us through halogenvc.com.
Thank you. Perfect. Well, this has been a great panel. I know it was really quick. I talked fast too because I want to get things moving. So thank you all for bearing with this quick panel. So I want to talk a second about the HawkeCage. So the HawkeCage is something that we started earlier this year, or actually it was last year, before COVID started. We brought entrepreneurs into our beautiful 27,000 square foot space to pitch us and a live audience. We had camera crews, and we didn't end up putting anything out yet because we we weren't quite ready to release it. When COVID hit, we got rid of our office space where Hawke Media is now a work from anywhere place. We're not going into the office. So we don't have a place to film anymore, and it just quite hasn't been right. And so when e-commerce week LA came up and we said, hey, should we do a HawkeCage edition? We really wanted to bring some pretty awesome entrepreneurs into our panel to speak about their businesses. So I'm super excited about our first HawkeCage participant, Kinder Beauty. So this is led by Andrew Bernstein and Daniela Monet. We're going to have 5 minutes to pitch, so we're going to get started pretty quickly here. I think we need to get some cameras rolling. We need to get a presentation up. What they're going to do is they're going to speak to us for 5 minutes. We're going to cut them off if they go over, and then to my Hawks in the HawkeCage, my panelists, let's start asking some questions. I'm not going to moderate very much during this. I'd love for you guys to jump in and feel free to clamor over each other. But I'll let you guys ask the questions and we'll get started as soon as Andrew and Daniela are ready.
Hello, hello.
Awesome. Thank you,
Welcome
Drew.
to the
Hello,
HawkeCage.
everybody. Yeah, we're stoked to be
You're
here.
in the cage.
We're in the cage. Things are getting real. Let's share screen here and see if we can get our deck up for you guys. All right. Are you guys able to see the deck?
Start the tap. Start the clock.
Start the clock. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for having us. We're thrilled to be here. My name is Andrew Bernstein. I am the CEO of Kinder Beauty. And I think before we even jump in, it's important to get a sense of my background and sort of how we approached what this brand is. Before I became an entrepreneur, I was at PETA. I was at the largest animal rights and vegan organization in the world. And I was in charge of their sort of robust and iconic celebrity marketing division. So if you ever saw billboards of celebrities posing naked saying, I'd rather go naked than wear fur, I likely shot and produced and helped launch those ad campaigns that were seen by millions of people. And when I was at PETA, it was what I like to call this sort of golden age of for-profit activism. So while I was busting my butt in the nonprofit world, trying to veganize the world, I was watching companies like Impossible Foods and Beyond Meat not just succeed financially, which they obviously have, but also really change the national conversation around the issues that I care most about, trying to get people to rely less on the exploitation of animals and animal products. And so when I was leaving PETA, I knew that I wanted to do something in the for-profit space. But I actually saw, number one, obviously the vegan food space is quite crowded. Some of you have probably invested in some of these iconic brands. But I also saw kind of a hurdle that you can't get around in the vegan food space, which is that you're trying to convince mainstream consumers to shop in a different aisle of the grocery store. So I would tell you that the Beyond sausage is currently the best vegan food product on the market. My wife and I eat it almost every week. And yet, no matter how delicious it is, my parents, who are mainstream consumers and not vegan, would have to go into the tofu aisle to buy it. And I think that that is a really, really tough challenge for most of those companies to get around. And so when I was thinking about what I wanted to do, I thought I saw sort of a way to flip the script. And instead of trying to get mainstream consumers to change the way and the places in which they're shopping, what if we brought ethical alternatives to really popular mainstream products directly to them? And that's what really led us to create Kinder Beauty. So when we talk about Kinder Beauty, we consider ourselves a vegan, cause-driven, consumer goods lifestyle brand on a mission to make the world a kinder place for animals, for people, and for the planet. And I'll let Daniela tell you about our first product to market.
Hello, everyone. I'm Daniela Monet. I am an actress and influencer. I have about 4.5 million followers across my platforms, and I'm an ethical entrepreneur. I'm very proud to be a co-founder of Kinder Beauty, and our first product to the market is the Kinder Beauty box. It's a monthly subscription box, and each month subscribers receive a box on their doorstep packed with the most amazing vegan, cruelty-free, non-toxic beauty and self-care products that myself and my partner Ivana Lynch curated and tested, and these boxes are packed with over $75 worth of value and only cost our subscribers around $25 or less a month.
Thanks, Dee. And
Yeah.
so just to kind of, reiterate, our sort of grand hypothesis here was we could create, at least to start, this ethical alternative to the very popular brands like Ipsy and Birchbox and BoxyCharm and FabFitFun that you've all heard of. And again, some of you may have invested in. And I think when you look at our traction since launching in January 2019, you see that our hypothesis here was pretty spot on. We did just over $1 million in revenue in year one. So far this year, we're just approaching 2.1 million. We should finish out this year with 3.2 to 3.4 million in revenue. And so we're really quite happy with where we are. Just so you can get a sense, Jeff, I think you were talking about, growth and whatnot during COVID. We have found to have a sort of COVID-proof business, and we've attacked it quite well. Back in January of this year, we had about 3,800 active subscribers, and we were doing about $100,000 per month in revenue. Last month in August, we just crossed over 11,000 active subscribers, and we did over $300,000 in revenue. I don't have enough time to kind of go into the team, and we can talk more about that in the Q&A. Real quickly, I want to talk to you about just the business model. Daniela mentioned the price point on our actual monthly subscription box, around $25. We do offer discounts when people subscribe for a prepaid 3-month or 6-month plan. It's not super high margin, just to be super realistic about it. We're looking at like a 38 to 42% gross margin. We generally net about $11 per box. So what we did about 7 months ago, was I really wanted to focus on getting more profitability out of each customer. And the way to do that was through these upsell and add-on opportunities. So every month, we open a members only exclusive marketplace where we put higher margin single products or curated bundles for our subscribers to buy. And they basically line up waiting for the link to that page, like shoppers at Walmart on Black Friday. We open the doors and we sell out within a matter of hours. And everything we put in those shops have 60 to 80% margins on them.
All right, we're out of time. Thank you for the margins. We all care about margins.
Yes,
that's all.
Margins are key.
That's what I wanted. That was my question.
I know, everyone was waiting. It's like, can you just put that on the title slide? Okay, so all these investors here are very versed in this and could potentially invest. I'll let you guys get into it. Any questions, bring them up.
I would love, this is, it looks like you've built a really great business, and congratulations on such impressive revenue so early. There are, this is obviously a busy space. And so I would be curious, like, what are the 3 things that make you stand out from all of your competitors the most? You mentioned FabFitFun, et cetera. And how do you build that to $1 billion business?
Sure. Great question. And thank you. I would say the 3 things that make us stand out most are, number 1, we are completely community focused. So I became a student of these different boxes in this space before we launched. And, I wanted to see what they were all doing wrong. And what I found was this really odd dynamic where the customers of these other boxes, they're kind of in this dystopic love-hate relationship, where they're transactional, right? So they don't really think about their subscription except for the day their box shows up on their doorstep and the day they get billed. And then they find one product they liked in the last month box and like, all right, I guess I'll subscribe for another month. And it's this really kind of unhealthy dynamic. And so what we did is, from the start, we said, let's build a community. Let's make sure that people understand why they're buying into Kinder Beauty. It's not because we're the only beauty box on the market. It's because we stand for something. And I think that's also been a big part of why we have excelled and succeeded during COVID, is because we've seen consumers change the way they want to spend their dollars. You have less dollars to spend. And suddenly, in a time also with what's going on in terms of social justice in America and around the world, people want to spend what consumer dollars they have in a way that makes them feel good. And we provide that. And so, like, we have been told that our community, it almost like everyone feels like they're part of some secret club. And so that's a huge differentiator. Another differentiator, I would say, absolutely, is Miss Daniela Monet, who is a fierce brand ambassador and entrepreneur and dedicated co-founder and business partner. And our other partner, who wasn't able to make it today because she's in London and it's bedtime for her, is Ivana Lynch, who was one of the actresses in all the Harry Potter films, who's also a very, very successful vegan animal rights activist
Got
with
1
millions
minute.
of followers. Sorry.
Got 1
So
minute.
anyway, we bring a ton of legitimacy. We've been able to cut through the noise in a big way with this combination of community, a really high quality product, and these really recognizable celebrities giving consumers comfort in making these purchases.
Who else has a question? Well,
Yeah,
we're
can I
got
just
one more
add-
question.
Just a quick one on your customer. Can you just talk a little bit about your customer, the profile, what are the demographics, age, et cetera? And then the second is on the box content itself. How many boxes does a typical customer purchase from you? How long can you keep them? And just how much of this product over month over month over month are they actually going to purchase?
Sure. So right now we're seeing customers stay subscribed for 7 to 9 months. And during that time, we're constantly upselling them. So they're buying those higher margin products along that journey. Our typical customer is core demographic is 25 to 34-year-old woman. And I like to describe them as mostly metropolitan. So think Los Angeles, Chicago, New York. And this is the customer who there is a Kroger or a Safeway or a Ralph's pretty close to their apartment or their home. And they actually like to walk with their bag in hand to the Whole Foods that's a half a block further. That's our customer.
Okay.
Perfect. We got to move on to the next group. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Your deck will be, we'll make sure it gets to all the investors here. Appreciate the time today, Andrew. And Kinder Beauty, not Kinder, Kinder.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming to the HawkeCage today. All right.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Next, we have Sabrina from Clear For Me. Are you in the building? Are you in the house? Are you in the cage?
Hi.
Hey, welcome to the HawkeCage. Thank you so much for joining us today. Let's get your presentation up and we'll get you started. I know we're starting a little bit late, so we'll make sure you get a little extra time, but feel free to begin. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Sabrina Narani and I'm the founder of Clear For Me. Years ago, my skin started to puff up or peel around my mouth, so much so that I was getting staph infections every other week. That experience forced me to try to navigate ingredient labels, and I quickly realized how difficult this problem is. Today, there's no standard for ingredient labels. Fragrance, the most commonly used ingredient in cosmetics, has 32 different synonyms that are used in ingredient labels. Vitamin C, 35. Even water isn't immune with more than 40 different synonyms. This is a reality for all ingredients, whether they're good, whether they're clean, whether they're organic, natural, or an allergen. And the lack of standards makes it difficult for retailers to offer personalization in a world where consumers are demanding to know more before purchasing. The cosmetic industry globally is a $500 billion industry, and e-commerce is the biggest driver for growth. The median growth rate for e-commerce sales before COVID was 22% for the top 25 beauty retailers. And the impact of the new normal through this pandemic has accelerated a trend we're already witnessing before COVID. And retailers who deliver an experience that offers an educational framework and personalized product discovery will gain market share. And this is precisely what Clear For Me has bottled into a SaaS-based offering. Our solution, Clear For Me, is an independent ingredient SaaS platform that makes ingredients searchable, clickable, and shoppable. Here is an example of our solution on the product description page for Credo Beauty. Here, a customer can see the ingredient list as she typically would, but with Clear For Me, that information is now clickable. She can click on any ingredient, see a definition, and see other products that have this ingredient to continue the site experience. The consumer gets the questions she needs answered on the site in a frictionless way without opening up another tab and going down the Google rabbit hole. Via API integration, brands and retailers access Clear For Me's fact-based data of over 1 million ingredients to create both front-end and back-end solutions. We charge a monthly licensing fee that's tiered based on the level of data and service that you use. And we work with brands that have maybe 1 to 2 SKUs on their site and retailers that have 30+ thousand SKUs on their site. Our go-to-market strategy is to onboard the largest retailers across all segments of beauty. Currently, our current customers include the largest beauty retailer in the US, Ulta Beauty, and the largest clean beauty retailer in the US, Credo Beauty. This strategy allows us to do three things. One, build the most relevant and comprehensive data set and ingredient data set in the marketplace. Right. Two, we're able to leverage these retail relationships to cross-sell and build direct relationships with the brands for their own D2C sites. And lastly, with credible execution experience and market validation from leaders in the space, it establishes us, Clear4Me, as the gold standard and leader, which fuels our pipeline. The competitive landscape here can be grouped into four categories: B2B and opinion versus personalized recommendations. On the left column, customers walk away from these solutions with a product assessment and basically walk away with either a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or this is good or this is a bad recommendation. On the make it personalized column where we live, there's a wide range of solutions like Indeed Labs, which focuses on other verticals of food and personal pet and personal care. How Clear4Me differentiates is that our solution lives where customers shop, and our platform is a centralized place where our direct relationships with brands support products being managed and information being distributed in real time wherever they need. Our traction. In 2019, we launched our API with Credo Beauty, which is the largest and fastest growing clean beauty retailer. And this year we onboarded and launched with Ulta Beauty, the largest beauty retailer. We've also added 200 plus brands to our recurring revenue model through those relationships. Our ARR is on pace to grow by 14x year over year. Our team, I'm a former NYU Stern alumni, a math whiz growing up. A head index options trader on the New York Stock Exchange floor and at Citadel. Ali on our team has over 10 plus years of experience in product development with a master's in engineering. And with successful implementations for companies like Ulta Beauty and Credo Beauty under our belt, we are a team that can and will continue to execute. Our ask today is to develop relationships with strategic investors that are focused in SaaS and in retail ahead of opening up for our Series A soon. So we're here to, look forward to meeting you, and thank you for your time, and look forward to your questions.
Time's up. Thank you so much. All right, who wants to jump in and ask the first question? Thank you so much, Sabrina.
I'll start. Sabrina, tell me about how you price for a retailer or a brand.
It's tiered based on the amount of data. So we look at a few things in terms of primarily it's the number of SKUs, the number of products, the number of ingredients that you have. And then we look at site traffic as well in terms of how you use the API across various solutions that you create on your site.
What's your average annual contract value across your 200 customers?
Our over 200, it depends. So it's really ranging from brands. On the brand side, the average ARR is about $4,000 a year. And then from retailers, it ranges anywhere from $3,000 to $50,000 a year.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, $3,000 to $50,000 a month. I was wrong on that. Cool. From the retail side. Huge difference. Sorry about that.
Yeah. I have a question in terms of the data that you're pulling to populate the service. Just curious on how defensible that is, meaning, as retailers and brands figure out this model, what prevents them from going out and collecting that same information, or is it just not cost effective?
Yeah, it's a great question. What we live and what we do is our platform is a centralized platform. So we're creating a network effect where for brands that are able to manage their information on our platform, we supply that data directly to their site. But in real time, we supply it wherever their products are sold. So it becomes a central place, a single place where they can manage their product details and information, where they're adding in product details, editing it, and real time gets distributed to Ulta, to Credo, or else that information is sold. So I think that's a key thing, is that through our partnerships, we've established that we are the go-to where this information is being managed and updated, and creating that continue to build on the defensibility of what we're working on.
Okay, thank you.
Who do you consider competitors?
I consider one of the ones that I mentioned was Indeed Labs on the B2B side, and so they provide this similar product discoverable solution, and they're focused in groceries, pet, and personal care products.
Fantastic. Sabrina, is there anything else you want our investors to know in terms of valuation or what you're raising or who you've raised money from in the past? Could you give a little bit of that information?
Sure. We earlier this year we have a convertible note round. We raised 500,000 this year, and so we're looking to open up our Series A to raise 2 million.
Great. And then were there any notable investors or venture firms that were in that first convertible note?
There's some notable entrepreneurs that were our key investors versus investors. Yeah.
That's amazing. All right. Well, our time is up. Thank you so much, Sabrina. We'll make sure we get your deck and information over to these investors, and really appreciate you joining today. This was fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have a dynamic character joining us today. I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about Louis Lombardi, who I'm not sure if we have cousin Ronnie today pitching us or Louis Lombardi. That's actually a joke. It's definitely Louis Lombardi pitching us today. If you want to flip your camera on and start your presentation, we'd love to have you get started here.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah. How are you, Louis?
Yeah, you got good. You got Louis Lombardi. You don't have cousin Ronnie. I caught you. What about Skip Lapari from The Sopranos or Edgar Stiles from 24? You don't like those guys?
Yeah, he would be a little scarier guy to have on, I think, than cousin Ronnie. But you got your presentation ready?
I have everything ready, man. I've been sitting here for 2 hours watching everyone.
I love it. All right, let's get started.
Yes.
5 minutes. Let's go. Welcome to the HawkeCage.
All right. So I'm bringing you my company, Lombardi's Foods, which is an authentic Italian-American food company that carries pasta sauces, olive oils, frozen pizzas, and just a bunch of Italian specialties. All the recipes come from 40 years of my grandmother to my mother to me to my daughter. So my goal is to bring families back to the dinner table, which is a lost art in our country. And there's such a huge market for that at this moment with all that's going on that it's a great message that I'm trying to convey with my company. We already have major big box markets interested. We have QVC, who loves the message of the brand of bringing families back. And we actually have a lot of momentum with this new start company. So I also want to create a massive online interactive e-commerce platform where you can bring the product to the consumer and interact about recipes and family stuff, and just bring a really positive family structure back with my company. And like I said, we have 40 years of recipes in one jar. My grandmother taught us how to cook growing up, and it was a passion. Acting is a passion to me, yes, but food is not just a passion, but it's my love. It's something that I want to end up taking to my daughter when she's 30 or 40, and bring kids back to cooking and family foods and stuff. And like I said, I have massive amounts of markets that are severely interested in carrying the brand. QVC loves the message. They think the brand is great for their market. And I love it. And like I said, all the ingredients are going to be the top quality. I don't want no artificial stuff in it. I don't want no fructose corn syrups or sugars. I want the finest Italian ingredients, from basils to the olives to the tomatoes to everything my company is going to make is going to be something that you'd be proud to give your family. And the market share for frozen pizza is $5.5 billion, and it increases every year. They're saying by 2023, you're talking about $11 billion in frozen pizzas, with 11% of that going to private labels, kind of like myself, my company, and then you have the sauce world, which is $32 billion a year industry. So a matter of what I want to do is I want to take my products to the consumer. I want to do a bus tour around the country, bring my products to the biggest markets that carry my brand. And I want to cook for kids. I want to cook for the consumers. I want to bring my brand to the people. I want to take it myself. Cooking demos. I want to do interactive website where you can learn how to cook. Because people are really intimidated with cooking. They're like, oh, no, it's too hard. No, Lombardi's Foods wants to simplify it where you can make anything for your kids and your daughter or your spouse, whatever it is, within minutes. And sitting around the dinner table is not just eating. It's the camaraderie of food. Talk about what life is about. Talk to your kids, talk to your family, see what's going on in the world over a bowl of pasta, over a frozen pizza. And I think kind of family dynamics can improve that way, And like I said, we have massive amounts of markets and outlets that really love the message of the brand, that are supporting it, that are coming on and following and saying, let's get this going. Like I said, one of my favorite things that I want to do is an e-commerce site where I do an interactive website where people can come on, bring their recipes, talk to me, get ideas on how to make simple stuff, so everybody can cook and no one feels intimidated. I want to bring my product to Middle America, and I want it to be a Middle America brand where people are cooking once or twice a week, using my products, and I think there's a huge market for that. There's families are missing that dynamic, and Lombardi's Foods wants to bring families back to the dinner table. That's the goal. That's the core goal. And in my company, I want it to be an authentic Italian American brand, that people can relate to. And I want kids to start cooking.
Time's up, Louis. Hey, do you want to quick tell us about your GoFundMe campaign you have going on?
It's a WeFunder campaign, and it's absolutely great because, you get a lot of these people who could jump on for anywhere from 100 to 10,000, and they could be a brand ambassador. That means you could tell people you want a piece of this food brand, and as you go out and you start shopping, you become a member of the Lombardi's family, which I want. I want everyone in America, I don't care if it's $100, to become part of the Lombardi's brand and the Lombardi's family, and together we could bring families back to the dinner table.
That's
So
awesome.
are these prototypes of products, or are there some for sale now?
There were some prototypes that we were developing, but again, it's all based on my recipes from my grandma to me. I'm brought up by all women, so all I do is cook all day. And I'm teaching my 14-year-old daughter, which is kind of hard because they're so like caught up with other stuff. But I'm like, no, I cook every single night, and I learned that again from all my Italian women that brought me up. So we made some prototypes, but I want the freshest ingredients, the best tomatoes. I don't want no additives, no sugars in those products. I want to come back to healthier eating, also, Do
you have any product in distribution yet, Louis?
No, we don't, but I'm sorry. No, we don't, but we're actually developing them now. The R&D is the best part because that's where you create the world. You create the entity of what you want to bring to the consumer. And that's my fun, sitting in the kitchen, playing with stuff, and did this, and this, and you create this beautiful product that, I cook for a lot of people in my houses and stuff. And people are always like, you need a restaurant, you need a food line. And this idea came from my grandma, 40 years of sitting in the kitchen watching her. And that's why I started playing in the R&D development, which is what I love, creating.
Yeah. When will your product be ready for distribution?
Well, as soon as we raise the money.
Okay.
What are you raising
that's
on
where we're at right
WeFunder?
now, yeah.
Louis, how much do you raise?
What are you trying to raise? The WeFunder
We're trying to
campaign.
do like $1 million for a nice rollout where, like I said, I've already contacted big box markets and they love it. They love the brand. They love what I want to do with the bus tour. I want to do a bus tour, take a pizza oven and go around the country and cook at these markets, do my demos in the parking lots and have kids come as their parents are shopping, bring the product to the people,
Mm-hmm.
Louis, I just love you. I love you so much. I think this is the kind of founder I love because you're so passionate about what you do. And I'm definitely having Italian for lunch. I wish you were out here. And
I cook for all of you. I cook for everybody. Chicken parm and pizza on me, on Eric Huberman. But thank you. And I try to say to people, what you just said is the best thing ever because my passion supersedes everything. That's what makes any company, anybody excited needs to have passion. And that's what I am. I'm like one big ball of passion. I'm at explode.
I think to build this business, you have to be so just live and breathe everything you do. And I'd be curious, you're in R&D now. Where are you currently planning on sourcing your ingredients? And as you grow, how do you see that changing?
Oh, I have certain companies that I want to work with, right? That develop some of the best products on the market today. I don't want to mention their names because that's what I'm trying to, I'm working with them now, but they're the biggest companies in America that can handle anything I bring to them and anything that we get. So if we get 10,000 markets from like Kroger, we could be in 10,000 markets in one day and the supply will always be there and it will always be consistent. That's the problem. That's the thing that most companies might not have a consistency. I want to have consistent products for the next 50 years that Lombardi's Foods will be on the market. And that's what I'm doing. So I have 3 different companies that I can grow with. I want to start with limited SKUs. And then as the company grows, I want to grow the SKUs. You know, not just load out a bunch of things and see what hits, but master what goes and build on top of that. So build a brand what the consumer wants. That's why I want my interactive website where I can talk to people like you. Louis, how do you put this? Boom. How do you do this? Boom. You know, recipes and bring the people like we're in the house now talking. And that's what I want to bring my products to on a sick, cool, interactive website and stuff and e-commerce kind of platform.
Great.
All right. I think
Sorry,
that's all
I talk too much.
No, not at all. This is your moment. You're supposed to talk.
I love it. Thank you.
Everything.
Everyone,
I'm not
it's
just an actor, I'm a cook too.
Go to wefunder.com/Lombardi Foods or .Lombardi Foods. I posted it in the link here. Go invest $10 and get some pasta sauce. Go invest $5,000 and be on the bus with Louis, right? When he's going around.
Yes, yes, Drew, yes. I'm gonna cook for everybody.
I don't know if I'm legally allowed to say those things, but you're a great guy. Thank you so much for coming on today. This wraps up the HawkeCage.
Thank you very much.
Excited to have you and everybody on the panel today. Thank you all for lending your time. Stay safe during COVID. We got a great guy jumping on next, I believe. I'm pretty sure I can see him in the office across from me. I'm reporting from the Yaguara offices in Denver, Colorado. I'm really excited to kick off e-commerce week. This has been Money Monday. So great. Thank you all for joining us today. And we're going to have a great week. So let's continue to move on to the next pieces.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Drew.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Drew.
Thanks, Drew.
Hey, Eric.
Thanks, Drew. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Eric. Bye, Drew.
All right, thank you guys. That was awesome. Lou's a longtime friend, but still being pitched by Edgar from 24 about his new pasta sauce company is kind of incredible. Looking forward to trying it. And also thank you, Yaguara, for hosting our friend Drew. He needed a place to go.